then back to that question, are there people going through tribunals for other things like child trafficking as well? Or is this
Yeah,
mainly a
no,
treasonous?
yeah,
Okay.
no. If you look at his executive orders, fraud, foreign interference, and remember, District of Columbia is a foreign entity, so
Yeah. Oh,
anyone
wow.
in yes, um, so that is considered foreign interference. And then also there's the child trafficking, there's the drugs. Um, and when you look at everything that is starting to come out, that is all, although it's negative and one could be angry that those people have done that, it's a positive in the fact that we're finding out about it and we're finding ways to deal with it and stop it.
Yeah, that's so good. Can I talk about on Inauguration Day with the fake inauguration of Biden? Trump went to the airport to take, I guess it was Air Force One to back home somewhere to Florida, probably to his Mar-a-Lago place. But he said at the airport, he says, "We will be back again in some form." Do you maintain that at that point, when he got on Air Force One, he was already commander in chief after they supposedly inaugurated Biden? Was Trump already commander in chief of the military at that point?
I don't know exactly when he was sworn in.
Okay.
It could have been even before he arrived at the airport
Okay.
because it was the rules for the inauguration that it has to happen at noon
Yeah.
um, on that day. But I will tell you, it didn't because I was on for the whole time with BBC, and they started broadcasting the inauguration, and Fox started 5 minutes later. So, there's always been that suspicion that it was pre-recorded. We wouldn't have a
Well, I
five.
mean, I heard. Do you know who Charlie Ward is? I think you've probably been on his program. He was claiming that in London or in the UK that they were broadcasting the inauguration before it started. They were already
Yes,
broadcasting because it was already on tape. It was already in the
right,
can as
right.
taped as having been. That's what you're saying, right?
I can verify that because I was on with BBC,
Wow.
and and they started it, and Fox was 5 minutes later. They said, "Are
Wow.
you ready to go?" I said, "Yes, but I'm kind of waiting to see Fox here." They go, "Yeah, let's go." And there there it was. It was 5 minutes behind.
Yeah, there's so much that has gone on. Okay, so then, but it sounds like you're convinced that right in there, whether before or after that airport, Trump was then commander in chief,
Yes,
and
yes.
and then you have on your list, and you tell me if I'm getting too far ahead, but I saw on
No,
your list of talking points, why does Donald Trump still have a presidential motorcade? And I've witnessed that, so I know you're saying that right. He's got the whole line of presidential cars. He's got the ambulance that goes everywhere. That's only supposed to be with the actual president. So how is he
right.
getting a presidential motorcade? What's your answer to that?
Well, he's commander in chief, so he has to be protected as well.
Okay.
And the other thing is that I can't wait until the liberals figure out that Biden has been renewing the most important executive orders from Trump: the national emergency, the election interference, the child and drug trafficking, the financial system. Yes, yeah.
Has he been, Dr. Jan, is he renewing those metaphorically speaking with a gun to his head, or is he renewing those because he's taking orders from the White Hats? How is it that he's renewing executive orders that stand against him? What's causing him to do that?
No one has confirmed it, but
Okay.
at least have seen the action, so we know that point is true. I honestly have no idea. I mean, there have been times when supposedly Biden was there and I almost saw Jim Carrey's face through it
Yeah.
or what. You
Yeah.
know, I have no idea. I have no idea about that. I know other people have an understanding and have said things, but until someone confirms it for me,
Now, speaking of that, I'm guessing, I haven't asked you this directly because I've said with Derek Johnson, I've said it with others, I've said clearly he's not the original Biden. He's an actor. Do you maintain that he's an actor too?
I have been told that, and I think that if you look at the pictures of him,
Yeah.
you know it's not the same person. When he went over to Israel, the hair was blonde. It wasn't white, and
Whoa.
and also the mask had sort of
Yeah. Yeah. If
come a
you look
little.
at
Yeah,
there are, what do you call them? Citizen journalists who will get photos that they weren't supposed to release, but you see the mask line because they are. I mean, I used to watch in the 60s, I think it was Mission Impossible, could have been in the 70s, I don't know,
right.
but where they would do
Yes,
those masks, and I thought back then, oh, they probably don't really have the ability to make those masks. Well, they do now. Maybe they did way back then, but
yes,
but
yes,
they literally can put a mask of someone on
right.
who has the right build, and they're, for all practical purposes, probably especially if they keep their mouth shut, they look like that person. I mean,
Well, and if they're an actor, their voice can sound like that person.
yeah, I don't know how they do that part.
Well, there have been, I mean, even comedians that
Yeah,
can
that's
do
true.
imitations.
That's true.
It's amazing. They've got a good ear, and they can change it around. Yes.
With Trump being commander in chief, and I felt that way for a long time, do you and I think or believe, Jan, that we're trying to you were hoping to get people beyond 66% to a higher thing at some point when you said it's got to be worse before you get worse before it gets better because we have to expose many of the deepest, darkest
Yes.
things. Are
Yes.
we waiting for it to be enough things to be exposed and enough people to be awake before the military says, with under Trump's leadership, I guess, all right, let's go. And then they just one day they show up visually. They've been there all the whole time, but now they make some sort of obvious takeover. What do you expect to happen? Or do you have no given expectation? What are your thoughts?
um, Number one is although 107 has said that is the criteria, that is not the criteria.
Okay.
It is a factor in the criteria. But when you think about the financial system, when you think about the other militaries, when you think about who the bankers are and what has
Yeah.
been going on, they are disassembling all of those things. So it's not once everyone wakes up and
Okay.
yeah,
It's not that.
no, it isn't that. It isn't that. It is knowing that they have accomplished a lot and most behind the scenes, and when the rest that needs to be done can go public.
Talk about, you're in the UK, you're not there today, you're in Virginia, but I mean, you're there, and people are reporting now, some of your compatriots who also do podcasts, they're saying that there's no king and queen reality anymore, that Charles isn't really the king or things like that, or he doesn't have any authority, it's all a pretend. What can you say
Well,
about that?
um, the monarchy has always been a constitutional
Okay.
monarchy, not
So
a ruling monarchy.
okay.
Uh, one of the signs that the monarchy, that King Charles has been, in essence, demoted, is that you have never seen a royal carry any money or have to pay for anything.
Right.
And Charles pulled a 10-pound note out of his pocket to buy a magazine from this homeless person because it was this event that he went to. That was the optics that he just doesn't get to go around.
Was that, when you say that, do you mean that was an intentional for the press to get that on camera? That was a planned optic that he would do that? No. Okay.
It shocked us all.
Okay.
It shocked us all. Yes.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing is that I have a very good compatriot in the Royal Marines, and I had worked for the UK Department of Defense, so I don't have as high level clearance, but he had sent to me, and let me just read this.
Sure. Yeah.
Is Space Force is very real. Air Vice Marshal Paul Gottfried went live 2021 to announce the UK Space Force, and the military global alliance is very real, and the Russians are doing the heavy lifting.
Whoa. The one, and we think of the Cold War and the Russians were all bad and the Americans are all good. They had that series called The Americans where the Russians were over here. But I mean, have the Russians been more white hats through the years than we've ever been taught? Or is this a fairly new, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
What I do know is that one of the reasons that the Ukraine-Russian war failed for the NATO side, for the globalists, was because he really needed to go in and destroy all of those bioweapon labs.
Yeah.
He needed to get a lot of the evidence of the financial corruption. He needed to save the children. So that is what was really happening while our media was, telling us lies.